we're live. This is going to say 2, but 7. Number 7. That's the episode we're on now, man. And this time it's our first one as already being live on the social media, man. We're making some moves now. Now these are going to... The goal of these podcasts now are to kind of come out a little bit more consistently because we're, we're out there in the internet now. We're not just like hiding on YouTube, keeping our episodes there anymore. People are starting to follow us now, which we love. We're happy for the support, all the feedback we've been getting, and we want people to continue to do it. But this is episode number 7 of The Spot. We're going to be talking about North Korea today because they've been in the news recently, not only for, all the nuclear stuff that we keep hearing about, the missiles, but actually related to sports. They're combining with South Korea for the Olympics and certain activities. So we're going to get into today, but...
Before we do that, just wanted to say thank you to everybody for the support. Very optimistic about it. It's going to be great. I like the way it's going. But before we get into today's topic, we got to do a correction. Last episode, we were talking about sports. I misread. I read the wrong home run list for top 10 home run leaders, so I just got to pull that up.
Zach's providing fake news here on the spot,
It's not real. It's fake news.
All fake news.
Fake news.
That's all it was. He was giving us
fake
news.
Very untrue.
Trump would be pissed.
Why you gotta say his name, dude?
Because you're doing fake news, man.
We are going to be talking about the Donald a little bit today. Played an interesting role in the Korea thing.
Yeah.
According to the news stations. But anyway, so I was right on the first 3. Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth. And then I said Willie Mays was 4th and A-Rod was 5th. It's really the other way around. And then Ken Griffey's 6th. Albert Pujols is 7th. Jim Thome's 8th. Sammy Sosa's 9th. Frank Robinson's 10th. So that is the correct list. I apologize. No more fake news from you here at The Spot.
Zach providing nothing but fake news. No. It's okay. We still corrected it. We'll be good. How about this poster, though, dude? Thought this was a nice little backdrop. You could kind of see it there.
That's
my
poster.
Poster. Great movie.
That's my poster.
Great movie.
I gave it away.
But yeah, no, so we're going to talk a little bit about North Korea. And, we're also going to kind of give you a little bit of an insight into what these podcasts are going to kind of look like in the future. We have some guests that were in the works. We're not going to reveal who the guests are yet. That's kind of a surprise, but...
Oprah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. More fake news. We're bringing Oprah to the spot. Yeah, no. But there are going to be some more podcasts in the future that are going to have some guests, some people that I'm sure most of you already know and love or hate. I don't know, but we're going to have them on. But anyway, that's in the future. Today we're talking about North Korea, and I think a good way to kick this off is why North Korea. Like I kind of said a little bit earlier, it's kind of really underreported out there in really the mainstream media how they're talking about that North Korea and South Korea, like the governments have come to an agreement on combining some of their Olympic teams, or maybe all of them. I know at least a few. I know like the women's hockey team is being combined between North and South Korea. They're going to play together.
They're going to fly one flag.
Yeah, under
They're
one
literally
flag.
going to fly one
so
flag.
All of them, then. They're all going to be playing in the upcoming Olympics, like together, and in the Winter Olympics. So that's kind of interesting because that's the first time I believe since '91 that they've done that.
And I think that the reason why that is being underreported is because of Trump. And I'm not, saying that I'm a Trump supporter or a non-Trump supporter, but because that's a very hot issue. But I think that is a reason why it is being underreported.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in a little bit here.
Yeah.
So where to start? I guess the best place to start would just be why Korea hates each other, why the two Koreas don't like each other.
Yeah, how they're just totally
if that's even a way to put it. Yeah. So
tensions is a light word because relating back to this, at least in the sport aspect, South Koreans, I know like the general population is not very happy about this. Like there's been reports that I was reading that just their people are not, understandably so, given their history, like what we'll get into, but they're not okay with this at all. They're, it's kind of getting mixed reviews, although the government's kind of, they're happy with it. Their people are not necessarily happy about what's going on because obviously they have disdain for Kim Jong-un and the regime up north. But go ahead. I know this is a little bit more your forte here, the actual history behind the war.
Yeah, but not really like Asian history. but history,
nonetheless,
history,
right?
So you have the whole age of colonialism, 1700s, 1800s. Bigger countries go into smaller countries, use them, for profit, take their resources, make money off of them. So that's pretty much what Japan had done in Korea in like the early 1900s. I think it was like 1910, 1911, and then Korea was a Japanese colony all the way up until the end of World War II, and obviously Japan, was pretty much destroyed as a state. So their colonies just kind of went up in the air. And the Soviets jumped in and got like half of Korea, like to be communist and, part of the whole Red Scare thing. Right. So immediately as a counter reaction to that, the U.S. jumped in the south of Korea. And literally it split at the 38th parallel in the North and South Korea. And that's how it was for a few years. The United Nations tried to get involved and like pan things out. But eventually what ended up happening was there were two states set up, North Korea and South Korea. And then after a few years, like 2 or 3 years later, they had the war, which only lasted for 3 years. And literally, like, nothing was gained or lost from it. Like, the starting boundaries of the war are almost identical to the ending boundaries right at that 38th parallel. So, and millions of people died. There's like 2.5 million civilians, Korean civilians, over 1 million Chinese soldiers.
It's funny that many people died and no land was really, like, pushed. So
Nothing.
Just died for no reason.
It's part of that ideological warfare that the U.S. and the Soviets conducted on each other in the middle of the century. So, which is another interesting thing is like we talk about places like North Korea and Iran being a thorn in our side, and it's our own fault. Like if you look at what we did in Vietnam and Korea and Laos and Cambodia and Panama and Argentina and all these places that hate us, it's just like, well, look what we did. Like, we went in there and literally tried to change their government. Like, I understand it. At the time, we didn't think communism was a good thing, and I'm not saying that it is a good thing, but the way that it was run by the Soviets and all these other places, it wasn't a good thing. Right. I understand that you're going to try and go against that, but at the same time, I wonder if they understood the repercussions of what they were doing. Right. Just like Iraq. I mean, yeah, we thought we were going to go in there and get Saddam out and end Al-Qaeda. And here we are 10, 12 years later, and there's over 1 million civilians died. 1 million Iraqi civilians.
Right. And again, this isn't us condoning. I want to make this very, very clear. This isn't us talking anything about our military or, like, military members. This is just more of, like, our view on, like, the diplomatic relation. This is more of, like, the higher-ups, like, Congress.
The vets, man. The vets get crapped on. I did my senior project
and they shouldn't
for college for my bachelor's on that. Wrote an 80-page paper on Union veterans and how they get pooped on. So we feel you. It's the old men in the chairs in the air-conditioned rooms making decisions.
Yeah, that's who we would be criticizing. Absolutely nothing but love and respect to the friends and family members who had serving, and that's because actually my grandfather, Savrat on my mother's side, he served in Korea. I don't know how much or to what degree, I have no idea. Obviously, he passed away and suffered a debilitating disease before I could ever really understand that part of his life. I was very young by the time he moved away, but my point is that nothing but respect to anybody who serves.
Both of my grandpas served. My grandpa Mazer served in Korea. They sent him to Italy and England, so he wasn't really in any danger. My grandpa Hal, he actually served in Vietnam. Yeah, which is crazy. Being 19 years old, he was in the jungle.
Yeah, but that's a different story for a different. That's a completely different war.
Yeah,
but no,
but kind of similar.
Yeah,
similar in that it was the same part of the world.
There was still Russian involvement.
5 years away from each other. Yeah. I mean, the Vietnam War really started in 1955.
Right. It was still the whole communism,
the whole communism Red Scare thing. Yeah. North and South.
Well, the French were more involved in that one though too, right? At least at first.
Vietnam.
Yeah.
Well, Vietnam was a French colony.
Right, and
so that's why the Vietnamese were fighting for their liberation from the French after World War II, and they got it. But the people that secured that liberation were people like Ho Chi Minh.
Right.
And people that supported communism because the Russians got to them.
Right.
And Eisenhower was like, "Nah, we're not letting that happen."
Yeah.
No.
And then Kennedy wanted to. This will relate to one of our other podcasts. That could be a contributing factor too to his assassination. There was a lot of belief he wanted to pull out of there too, and there was, I know, overwhelming. I mean, that was obviously a huge divide in the country because a lot of people, that's where you have like the whole hippie movement.
Korea's scary though, in that it was like the first time in the Cold War that we went to war against communism. It was only 5 years after World War II, 1945 to 1950. Vietnam hadn't really started yet, and it definitely hadn't escalated yet.
Right.
And I'm sure we were running some covert ops in the late 40s, but that didn't really start to the 50s with the CIA. But
right.
it was like the first
thing I was
war.
I was talking like the whole kind of, that's more Vietnam, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Like
that must have been scary for people to be like, yo, we got these bombs we just built that can blow cities up, and now the Russians are getting them, and now we're fighting them.
Right.
What I mean?
They were just on our side in this war now.
Yeah.
Now we got to go up against them because we don't see eye to eye very well here.
Well, it's,
But, yeah, no, I know what you're saying. But anyway, so, that's basically what the war was being fought over, and obviously then what, you have the whole, obviously we all know about Kim Jong-il and, like, his reign, and pretty much Kim Jong-un has been an extension of Il. He's
What was their the dude that's running it now, Un?
Yes.
His grandpa was, like, the first dictator,
mm-hmm.
and then it was Kim Jong-il.
And now we're on Un.
What
was it, like Kim Jong's son? Maybe
I was just gonna say son, so I think it is.
Is
that a baseball player? It's either a baseball player or it's him. That's
or
awful.
It's an evil. It's either the first.
Yeah.
Dictator. We could probably look this up. So we're not providing more fake news, but
yeah, let's look it up. I'll look it up quick.
But yeah, no, it's But yeah, no, it's crazy though that you see like just that war that started like 50, 60 years ago now, like even to today you still see tensions, you still see.
Well, those things have repercussions for hundreds of years. Like we as Americans, and this is kind of a side note, but like we as Americans are people like of the first world, like you talk about colonialism and all that stuff like, in a classroom. And yeah, like about slavery and about all the things that we did, but like they don't harp on it how much of an impact it really had on these other countries. And when I went to college, I took a class on the Middle East, and I learned like, Britain like messed up Iraq and Iran, like took all their oil for a very long time. Like even after colonialism had ended into the 1990s.
Wow.
Like we have, not we, because some people say, well, it wasn't me, it was a couple hundred years ago. We, however you want to say that collectively as humanity or as Europeans or whatever, like we have pillaged the globe. And like all the people, like you hear about, like in Africa.
I was gonna say,
they
about
the hands
in Africa. They just.
Well, you ever hear of the Congo, the Netherlands?
Go ahead. No, talk about it.
You never heard of King Leopold in the Netherlands?
I heard of it. I'm not familiar with it.
It was like in the mid to late 1800s.
About to sneeze.
Yeah, I could tell. I was like, you gonna sneeze or you gonna fall over? Or you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm just having a stroke here.
King Leopold took over the Congo. Like this big area in the central of Africa around the Congo River, and literally they would put people to work and they would cut their hands off. Like it was like a thing. Like dude, there's I've seen pictures.
I think I've heard of that. Right, if they like screwed up or something, that was like a punishment. They would just literally chop your hands off, which
like
is so fucked
pictures
up.
of piles of hands. Look it up, King Leopold in the Congo.
But, yeah, that's just messed up.
And I mean that's effectively.
But for the same reason, right? Obviously, slavery, but also letting just resources. We just go in there and be like, yeah, we got guns. What do you got? Like, what do you?
It was
with?
Kim Il Sung, September 9th.
All right, so we're not listening to baseball player like Ching Ming Wong, who I think is actually Korean too. Now that I'm saying that, or is he?
No, he's Korean.
He is Korean. Okay, but yeah, no, he.
Young Kim. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, Young Kim. Isn't that
Byung.
Oh, I would say because there is a.
He was the dude
UFC fighter that has a name Young Kim.
Choi.
Young Choi too. There's the Korean Zombie is what's his name? But yeah, no, there's actually a ton of Koreans.
So in September 1948, Kim Il Sung took over the North Korean state, and then he was succeeded eventually by his son Kim Jong Il, and then who a few years ago was succeeded by his grandson Kim Jong Un,
which we see today as pretty scary dude. Really, when you hear the shit that he's saying, like assuming that what we're being portrayed is true, and like. Also knowing, like obviously it's telling when you have people that are literally willing to escape your country when the success rate is very slim.
Dude, they don't have the internet. They don't have the internet over there. Like you're only allowed access to, I think it's like 13 websites in North Korea. I think you have to go to like public computers if you're not rich enough to have your own, which is pretty much everybody.
Yeah. No, they're definitely, their economy is struggling for sure. They are struggling to feed their own people.
Yeah, famines.
But there's also like I've seen like on internet and through other podcasts really for guests, like there's been Americans that have gone in there that haven't gotten caught, like being American, that have gone into like North Korea and have like seen like what it looks like around there, and they're just like, dude, like it's really just sad. And how, like you said, but if you even watch like their TV, it's just like the propaganda like that they spew, like just like basically portraying.
It's a very
Kim Jong-un is like a god like figure is crazy.
It's a very popular comparison, but George Orwell's 1984 is exactly that. Like in Korea, like imagine if you're a farmer, if you're a North Korean farmer and you have a family, like you don't know anything. You just know whatever your parents told you and whatever the government and the neighbors are telling you.
That's all we really know too. Is so a lot of people give their opinions just based off of what they see in mainstream media.
And they
don't want to look deeper into things.
Forgot it might have been a Joe Rogan podcast. He had someone on a few months ago that went to North Korea, but he was
that's the one I'm referencing.
This guy was saying that he was going around asking people what they thought about Americans, and they're like, "Oh, Americans are dirty people. Like they're awful people. Like we live so much better than them." Which they could have just been saying that, and not like meaning it. They probably meant it. So what I'm getting at is like that they don't understand that disinformation. Like in George Orwell's 1984, like the people literally are like bred to think something else of the people they're fighting this war with.
Right.
And they don't know if it's true or not because they have no access to information outside of that.
And it makes you think though, even here though, like what like Fox or CNN, those are like the two extremes, I think. Like one's super conservative, one's super liberal, and then you have like the MSNBCs and the CBS, like all these other news sites that'll give their input, like BBC, like all that. But it just makes you realize it's like the importance of really like looking deeper into issues and not just taking for the surface what they tell you. Like they're
except
just
the North Korea one, I think that they're pretty.
Oh, I'm just saying in general. Like I'm sure there's some exaggerations even there, just because there really is nothing that's truly objective.
No,
everything's through some perspective, through some lens, and they all have an agenda. Like they're all trying to get viewership. They're trying to make money. Like that's what they're doing.
Moolah.
But, money makes the world go around. But with that said, I think they're hitting it pretty accurately just based on other people through like what I would consider more objective, independent sources. Like it seems like they're getting the North Korea thing pretty right.
Speaking of the media, this is what I was talking about with the Trump thing at the beginning of the episode. Mm-hmm. The South Korean president said that about a week ago that he gave Trump a lot of credit for bringing these peace talks with North Korea and easing the tensions. And I want to know what you think about that because, obviously we're told in the media, oh, this guy's crazy. He's talking about blowing that place up. And yeah, he does use a harsh tone, and I wouldn't exactly probably say the things that he says. But, I mean, you got to give credit. You got to give credit to where credit's due.
Listen, even if I completely, I mean, I admit I didn't vote for the guy, right? I didn't vote for Trump. But with that said, when you do something right, I'm gonna be objective about it. Like I'm not saying everything the guy's gonna do is wrong, because it's not. Like you would think if you turned on and even watched like ESPN today, that, like I hate how much politics like they'll get into now. It's just like this isn't the forum, but you would think you can just tell through the lens like okay, this is super liberal. And I don't like either extreme. I don't like super liberal. I don't like super conservative. With that said, if he contributed to helping these guys, if what they're saying is true, assuming that's true, that he has helped bring together these countries, even for the sake of the Olympics, I think that's a stepping stone towards the future. I mean, this is for sport, but who's to say they can't help each other out in the?
I think it is true because why would the South Korean president say that? And it's,
he has no reason not
like
to.
Like the Washington Post commented on it. Like all these news stations are commenting on it. It's not like I found it on Reddit.
Right. Yeah.
Which doesn't mean that it's not true, but.
Right. Anybody can post whatever the hell they want.
That's the conversation.
Yeah, that's a different one. But with that said, no, if he did, absolutely deserves credit for that. That's a very good thing to do. Like, who doesn't want to see like countries like try and unite?
Well, in the way
like
that the South,
ideally, the whole world acts together, not fighting each other. Now, I don't think that is realistic. Definitely not right now.
In the way the South Korean president portrayed it, it wasn't even like Trump like called in and had something cool to say. Like he was citing like the sanctions and like the tough rhetoric that Trump's been using. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny how like he's saying my button's bigger.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Like I don't even know. I mean, I get it. I don't know how I feel about that tweet.
I mean, even if the guy is a psychopath, and I'm convinced Kim Jong-un is indeed a psychopath, he can't be stupid enough to actually think that throwing a nuke in our direction is a good idea.
No, he doesn't.
Because even if you land it, and I don't think he would, I still don't think it would hit. I still think our defense would be good enough to pick it out. Maybe not. Maybe he hits something. Even if you're not blowing up all of America in one shot, but we can definitely take you out in one. Your country's not nearly as big. Like we would decimate North Korea.
I guess that's something that the media
we would blow
does.
You off the map.
The media does disportray about the North Korean thing is like their willingness to want to go to war with us, and it's just like, dude, I don't think that's true at all. I don't.
No.
I think
they would be stupid to try to go to war with us, and he knows that.
They're saying that to hype us up.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's gonna get murked.
Oh, it wouldn't even be close.
It's like
it would not. If he wants to get into a nuclear war fight, it wouldn't be close. The firepower we would have is just ridiculous, and like even now you even hear the Chinese coming out more and more saying yeah, no, we're not backing you that much. We trade with you, but we're not. We're gonna back away if you're gonna get into a nuclear fight. You think we want to fight America too? No, the Chinese don't want to fight us either.
At most,
we trade with them.
At most, I bet they probably have 10, 15 nukes. So what do you blow up? You blow up parts of California, Washington.
Yeah.
The rest of the country's still gonna come kill you.
The East Coast, the East Coast will be fine. Yeah. The middle, most of the middle of the country is gonna be fine. We're coming for you. You hit us, you're screwed. There's a reason why it's called mutually assured destruction. The difference is you're only destroying some of us. We're destroying all of you if you come for us. We're going to blow you up.
This part of the country, everybody says, oh, we're in Western New York.
Because of Niagara Falls. Yeah.
But, dude, we would actually probably get murked. Niagara Falls, and then...
that's a huge power source that we use.
For the whole Northeast.
Yeah. That's... don't underestimate, how much power
is
being generated through Niagara Falls.
Ron brought up a good point, too, because I was talking to him about this the other day.
Shout out to Ronnie Kleinbeck.
Ronnie Kleinbeck. Fresh water. Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, the Great Lakes. It's a lot of fresh water.
It's true.
You murk those, you can cripple a country, especially if we start to have water problems.
Which you already see in, Detroit and all that. I mean, granted, those are different separately. But what I'm saying is you can see what, a lack of fresh water can do to even just to, a city like Flint. You can see what it does. Can you imagine how you put it on a larger scale, what it can possibly do? So those are very valid points. But he's crazy, but I don't think he's that stupid. There's no way you can be that dumb to think that you're going to actually attack us. You can do these threats that you're doing with Japan and all that. I get it. You're not going to actually be stupid.
Is he even crazy? I'm not saying that how he acts and what he says is normal, but any organism wants to thrive, and if you just give it, he has never known anything except that power. He was literally born into that power from his dad and his grandpa. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it's normal, but it might be twisted, but does that necessarily mean it's psychotic and crazy? I don't know. From our point of view, yeah.
I would say so, because even if you're bred to think like that, that doesn't mean it's a normal way of thinking of it. I don't know.
But what is normal way of thinking of it?
Well, I can tell you what's not. I mean, there is actual evidence that can. I would like to see somebody actually evaluate his brain chemistry and all that, because there is that's tangible evidence that would prove that we've seen an act Ted Bundy or Charles Manson, actual psychotic people that we can prove okay, there's something severely wrong with this, mass murderers. I would love to see the brain of Adolf Hitler, you know what I mean, to see what they would have thought of him. Was this guy? I mean, anybody who is willing to kill that many millions amount of people for the sake of just trying to bring your economy back up, there's something off. You know what I mean? There's got to be. I mean, he was smart in the sense from a military standpoint, but that was super scary, that he could achieve. I'm not saying
I definitely do not agree with it. I think it was wrong.
Right.
I think it was 100% wrong.
Obviously.
But at the same time, he himself believed that it was right and it was an ideal. So exactly, his sense has to be perverted.
Right. No, totally. I've described it before. If you actually, I think I talked about it on the podcast we had with Brett. When you are actually insane, your brain, you see it almost opposite of what we do. You are literally the way that it was described by Dr. Paul Ekman in some of his studies. If you actually look at somebody so we see, all right, we're two straight dudes, right? You see a hot girl down the street, you're oh, I like that. You know what I mean? biologically it'll like arouse you, get you like happy, or you see a baby smiling, like it makes you happy, like it just releases those certain chemicals in your brain. You see somebody being tortured or murdered, you cringe. You don't really want to watch it. You don't feel right about it. It makes you feel uncomfortable. That's, again, certain chemicals being released. A psychopath, it's the total opposite. They see like that happiness from a baby, and they feel like the cringing. They see murder, they see blood, and it arouses them. It gets them happy. Like, it's literally just something wrong with their brain chemistry.
What I'm trying to say is I don't think that, because I do agree with you, but what I'm saying is I don't always think that evil people see themselves doing evil.
No, I agree. They don't think
evil
what they're doing
people
wrong at all.
see themselves doing.
Totally, dude. They don't think it's wrong. That's what I'm saying. I agree with that. They don't think it's wrong. We understand that it is, just because, like, as a whole, like, most of humanity does not view, like, that's the minority of the population. Of course they don't. They think it's right. I agree with you there. But we know killing mass amounts of people is not okay.
No.
And now you give somebody like that who is able to achieve power, like, you actually give them, like, other smart parts of their brain, like make them strategic, and this is what you get like a Hitler. So in the sense that Trump's being tough on Kim Jong-un, I do agree with it, because I don't think you should appease. If we learned anything from our past, we should not appease people like that. You can't, because that's when you get World War II. That's when you get Hitler. That's when you get destroyed, because that's what they did. They appeased him, like, okay, fine, take it. And they're like, until finally Poland came. It's like, you cannot go into Poland. You go into Poland, we're gonna start a war. What did Hitler do? He went into fucking Poland. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, so in that sense, I can see why, does he necessarily go about it saying the right way? Like saying, okay, my button's bigger than your, okay. Maybe he's not going about it necessarily the right way. Like, he might not be saying, like, the most politically correct things that we're accustomed to. But with that said, in this case with Kim Jong-un, I don't mind it. I don't mind you not appeasing what I think is a psychotic dictator. But
no, I agree with you. I think, like, I don't know. But I agree. You got to be tough.
Yeah.
Like this. If I was a leader, I'd be like, if I was a leader of this country, I'd be like, yo, listen, we got some stuff we got to take care of. There's no reason we need to have 900 plus bases in 192 countries. No reason. So we're gonna pull some of that shit out.
Right.
We're gonna work on us. You want to mess with us? We're gonna come after you.
Yeah.
And we're not coming to punch you. We're gonna come kill you. We're gonna come f your stuff up.
Yeah, because
destruction.
Because we're still America at the end of the day.
And I'm not even saying nukes. Like, I'm just saying we're just gonna come.
No.
We're gonna come.
Yeah, we're gonna.
So don't mess with us, and we're not gonna mess with you. But you want to mess with us, we're gonna come. Until then, we're gonna do us. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. But anyway, so I mean, because you keep hearing about that, like, in the news all the time, like how he's coming after, or like he keeps even threatening, like, America. Or what did he say? What did we do where he thought it was a direct, like, when he took it as a sign of war, like when I think Trump might have said that, like, our button's bigger than yours, whatever. He's like, I take this as an act of war. It's like, dude, come on. If you really believe that, like, if you guys think he actually thinks that, like, even if it was, he's not attacking first. He's not going to hit us. He wouldn't do anything unless he knew he had other people to back him, and I don't think anybody's backing him.
And even if he did, it's still like, oh, it's the United States.
Yeah.
Like, we're still at the point where, like, we could literally fend the rest of the world off.
Yeah, and obviously that would be a horrible thing we would not want to do, but, like, you take nukes out of it, we're probably fucking up, like, every country. Like, even with nukes, we're doing some damage. Like, we will go in. You can go into Russia. You can go into Moscow and fuck some stuff up. Like, Putin knows it too. He doesn't want to fuck with it. He, like, they'll antagonize, sure, because that's just what Russia's always done to America. But he's not gonna. They would never directly try and get into a war.
Could you imagine being in Hawaii and you hear that those missiles are going off? Like, you turn on the news.
And I was in Hawaii a few years ago, so I couldn't imagine I just turned it on one day. Like, I would have been there around the time that these things went off, too. So I could have literally been in Hawaii if this was, like, 3 years ago and saw that. But, like, I would have called my parents and been like, well, I love you, because these things are really coming to hit. There's no way I'm surviving this.
I don't even know what I would do.
I would go to the beach just and try and enjoy myself, dude. Like, what are you going to do? If you're going to get hit with a nuke or some type of bomb, even on, like, an island like Hawaii, it's not big. You're screwed.
There's
You're
probably
dead.
some people that
done.
hear that, they're like, yo, I'm just going to kill myself. unfortunately, there's got to be somebody that would do that. You know how awful that would be?
Yeah.
I would. No, I would never.
Yeah, that would be
I would
awful.
never, because I'd be like, yo, I kind of want to see the missile coming in.
Yeah, I want to see. If I'm going to go, like, I'm going to see how this ends.
I want to take this in.
Yeah, because I'm dead anyway. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to kill me, so I might as well see how this goes. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't get out of there. You know how far it is to, like, fly from Hawaii to, like, California? It's like a good 5 hours.
Start
flight.
swimming.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Going to Shark Adventure. Water, so yeah, you'll die there, too. But, like, yeah, no, there's nothing you can do about it. There's literally nothing you can do about it. Like, you'd have to be on a massive, like, there's not even a boat you could get on that you would eventually die. You wouldn't survive, like, even out in sea, just because of how massive the waves and shit would be out in, like, the deep sea of the Pacific. Like, there's no way. You're done.
Done.
You just have to accept the fact that you're done if that thing really comes for you and you live in Hawaii. Like, it's just the reality of it. If it's a nuke, like, you're screwed.
But they would never. Well, I don't know,
and that'd be stupid, though, if that's the only thing you're bombing.
That's what I'm
Hawaii.
saying. What's in Hawaii? Nothing.
Like, what is this, a Pearl Harbor thing again? Okay, cool, you hit a base. Guess what? Now we're coming for
you. Like, if you nuke New York City, you're going to do some damage. New York City has a lot of our economy.
Yeah.
You're going to do some
damage.
Too,
that are dying.
Well,
you
know, not even the economy from the people that live there, but the international economy is so strong in New York. We'd still probably get together and be all right. We still got D.C., the head of the government. We still got hundreds of millions of other people in this country.
Right.
But, like, you could hurt us with New York. Hawaii, you're not going to hurt us at all. Like, it's literally nothing.
Yeah, it's sad that you're, like, the people there are gone, but, like, it's like, what are you trying to prove? Like, cool.
There's no economic,
maybe,
there's no
like,
strategy.
I know there's, military. I don't know what type of military is still out there, but even then it still isn't, like, enough where you're, like, going to even put a dent in the U.S. military. Like, we spend way too much money at, like, the amount of money that's spent on it.
900 bases in 192 countries. Why do we need so many bases in Germany and Australia? Like, I understand the North Korean tensions. You want to put a bunch of bases in South Korea? I get that.
Right.
I get that. I don't get why we still have so many bases in Germany. Like, that was 70 years ago. At the time, okay, you can give me an argument for it. Now, there's no reason.
Especially when it was like a West versus like West Germany, East Germany type thing.
That's what I'm saying.
I get that because Russia once, or the Soviet Union one side and America the other. It's the same thing, the Red Scare. But today, why?
That's a huge waste of money.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's some military reason that I just, don't understand, but based on what we know now, like, that does seem kind of
necessary. So when stuff goes wrong,
somebody
we can
invades Germany and they need our help, like, we can provide the assets necessary. I feel like ample amount of time. Like, who's going directly after Germany right now? Nobody. No one's afraid of Germany.
Redirect.
No, I mean, they produce great cars and beer.
While we're on this, I know this is a little different than North Korea, South Korea, but I got this message today, also from Ronnie Kleinbeck. He sent me an article. Paul Ryan collected $500,000 in Koch contributions days after House passed tax law, like the Koch brothers. Because you know how the Republicans just got that tax law through?
Yeah.
And this is from the Huffington Post. Headline, Paul Ryan collected $500,000 in Koch brother contribution days after House passed tax law. Just days after the House passed its version of the federal tax law slashing corporate taxes, which cut corporate taxes from 35% to 21%, House Speaker Paul Ryan collected nearly $500,000 in campaign contributions from billionaire energy mogul Charles Koch and his wife. Koch and his brother David spent millions of dollars to get the new tax law passed and are spending millions more in a public relations campaign in an attempt to boost support for the law.
Well, that
drain the swamp. You drain the swamp. Proud of you.
Any surprises there though? Some type of company sends money to politicians to help laws get passed.
Wait, but trickle down economics works because that $500,000 was going to go to little poor people that don't make a lot of money because now the corporations have money because they're not being taxed. Oh wait, it went to the politicians. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, trickle down economics has never actually worked necessarily. Like, it's an interesting theory, but what greedy people want to keep their money. I mean, come on. I mean, I get it. There's some people that have been able to show, like, tangible proof that there has been job, like, growth and stuff in this country, but I don't think it has anything to do with trickle down economics.
We need to. I got nothing to say, dude. Like, what are we gonna do? It's not even just the Donald Trump thing. Like, this has been going on for years in this country. In my argument, it started right after World War II. Not purposely, but that's what it's grown into. It's just this whole organism, this bureaucracy that just feeds off of itself, and it's so cyclical. And then you add this foreign stuff in there, and it all makes it so complicated that nobody wants to pay attention to it. You hear it all the time. Oh, politics is so boring. It doesn't mean it. Like, oh, it means everything. Like, they just bore you so much with it. They throw coffee at you during the work week, and then they booze you up on the weekends, so you don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is too is just then they'll give you like a catchy headline in like the news, and just nobody actually investigates further into what these people are saying. It's like, and nobody looks into like, okay, you can literally report something that's not might be exaggerated or sensationalized, and then you're supposed to correct it later on, but nobody fucking pays attention to the corrections. You know what I mean? Like, you got to really like investigate what these people are saying and then formulate your opinions. I think we've said this before, but I'll continue to say it. Don't just when you see one story out there, like, read every like possible source that you can, because they're all gonna have different takes on it. All of them are gonna give you a little bit of different information, and take the commonalities out of all of it, and try and think what your truth is, because the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's not exactly what they're saying. Some statistics that they might throw out there are not necessarily like where you always got to wonder where they came from, like, and how they were formulated. Like, I always love that when people like come out with polls. Polls are some of the most ridiculous things that you can come out with. Like, people are polling this or that. Polls are literally like somewhere on the internet, and like how many people actually participated in those. You know what I mean? Like, those are such bullshit statistics that I hate when they're thrown out there. Like, don't listen to that.
And especially it could be like,
the only poll that's valid is like when you actually have a real election that like people are using. Like, I love when the media says, like, the polling went out there for Fox News or for CNN, came out and said this is what Americans feel on this issue. Like, do you approve? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, that's only people that pay attention to CNN, that go on to CNN's website. Like, come on.
You think someone from Fox is going to know about a poll that CNN put out and vice versa?
They don't give a shit. Like, they don't want it. If anything, they're going to keep ripping on it and be like, oh, those are just a bunch of Hillary-loving, liberal hip. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, there's too many people like that. Like,
on both sides.
Don't be lazy.
On both sides.
Investigate it yourself before you actually formulate an opinion. It will prevent a ton of ignorance.
And that's something to throw at the Democrats too. On the left side is like,
oh, I'm just as critical of them as I am the Republicans.
Like they for so long shunned out that lower class other side because they were like, oh, the Republicans, they're not educated. I'm just not even going to waste my time. And then look what happens. You get a Donald Trump because those people feel like they're not understood, so they don't want anything to do with the existing political structure, so they go for this radical guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And there couldn't be any more divide than there is right now. I mean, we're super divided in a lot of ways.
You said that last time in the last podcast, or maybe it was 2 podcasts ago, and I was going to throw a counter at you. I agree, except for the Civil War. Next to the Civil War.
Well, I said, yeah. Obviously, I would say I should put that next to it since the Civil War. Obviously, come on. Like, that's a given.
Yeah, dudes shooting each other.
We're killing each other. There's been no other war where that was the most American casualties, because literally that's all that was dying is our Americans. Like, there was nobody else dying.
You add up all the American casualties and all the other wars, put them together, more people still died. More Americans died in the Civil War
than all the other Americans that died in every other wars combined. Yeah.
Let that settle in. Yeah.
Let that settle in. Like, that's just ridiculous. Obviously, that is, yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Both sides, you have Americans getting killed. Yeah. It's like you're fighting Germany. 10 Americans just died. 9 Germans just died. No, it's 10 and 10. No, 20 Americans
20
died.
Americans, yeah. All Americans. But yeah, I should put it since the Civil War, because that's kind of a given. Like, that's just insane how many Americans died in that. But
60s were kind of rough too, but it is pretty rough right now.
Yeah, the 60s were because of the Civil Rights Movement, and yeah. I would you could argue that the 60s were still more rough, but still, like, just it's a different era now too, because you have social media. Like, everybody can voice an opinion, so it really like reveals like who people are. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just everybody is out there talking. I mean, look at what we're doing.
Do you think
would we be able to do this years ago? No, we just have the technology and social media to be able to even have a podcast right now. Otherwise, we'd have to go through like a radio station. Hope to God that somehow we get on there, and we'd have to probably formulate opinions that we think the station would like. You know what I mean? Just so we could even get on there. We wouldn't necessarily.
Are the radio station.
Well, now this is the beauty of podcasts.
We are the radio station.
It's the way of fighting back. It's being independent. We don't answer to anybody.
It's the man.
The man. Fight the man.
So back to North Korea, South Korea. Do you think that this flying under one flag, do you think it's going to improve relations, and I'm not saying we're going to be best friends with them or even South Korea will be, but do you think it's
talking America?
But do you think, okay, for North Korea relations with the rest of the world, better way to put it, do you think this is going to bring them a step forward and progress to better, or do you think it's just something in the cards right now that's not really going to affect anything?
I think it's a potential way to move forward, but it really depends on what they do from here. Because this can go one of two ways. They can either take a massive step back, and I think Un personally is going to ruin it. I don't think I don't know. I don't trust the guy. I really just don't think he's mentally stable. Like, I don't think it's smart.
Tells his people he doesn't poop.
He does not defecate. Yeah, he's God, and he works so hard he burns it off, because that makes a lot of sense. But no, I just don't think he's like mentally stable. I think they still need a different leader in there before I would truly believe that relations can improve. I just don't think he's capable of doing it. I think this is a great thing, for their governments. But with that said, let's look at like the political ramifications. Like, it kind of buys you some sympathy, and it helps their economy too, because they benefit from this now. If the Koreas like win, and you know what I mean, like they benefit from this.
Why would he want things to change? His life's great.
His life's perfect.
His life's great.
I mean, he's got people. Are you kidding me? Like, it's a lot like Stalin in the sense that if you look at him the wrong way, he can fucking kill you. Like, he will. He'll just axe you, and that's the end of it. You have to accept the fact. Like, you have to bend to his will. Like, you can't speak out. You can't. You know what I mean? South Korea, look at their economy. It's booming. Like, they're doing really well right now.
One of the best economies in the world.
Yeah, they're doing incredible right now, and they have a great, democratic.
Isn't
system.
Samsung based out of Seoul?
I believe.
I think
so.
Samsung's out of Korea.
So. But they're killing it right now. They're doing it great, and they're still growing. Like, the North is hurting big time. And go ahead.
In South Korea's defense, or in the defense of that argument, America's not going to let them fall.
No.
Like,
it's
especially true. Because America's going to have their back.
But it's one thing to not let somebody fall, and another to actually be like booming, and they're booming.
That's true. That's true.
So I would say that although America wouldn't let them collapse per se, they're not going to. I don't think America is responsible necessarily for how well they're truly doing. Dude, they have like infrastructure and stuff like technologically with like even cell phones and stuff that's way ahead of us.
But how did they?
Way ahead of us.
How did they get that infrastructure to be based off of that? They got it from us.
Yeah, but they've since improved. But I mean, okay, we can even argue how did we get to that? We got it from somebody too. Like, that's just how it always starts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we also based it. We got it somewhere first before us. I mean, if we really want to start, like, we went all the way back, and Britain started a lot of the stuff that we had that we took from them. Cause
we got it from the dinosaurs, man, all right? Yeah. The dinosaurs are the ones
that's just evolution.
That came up with the pyramids, all right? You heard it here at the spot. The dinosaurs built the pyramids.
Aliens, man. Just aliens control all of us. This is all simulation. We're not even real. This is all just a massive simulation. Who came out? There's a billionaire that truly believes that we're all a simulation right now. This is a simulation.
I don't know how they would.
I don't know how he made $1 billion though. That's what I want to know, because I want to say crazy shit too.
I don't know.
But I want
how
the billions.
You come up with the numbers for this, but statistically, I guess it's more likely that this is a simulation than that God as a deity exists. That was what some scientists said. I don't know.
I just don't know where you come up with those numbers. I would like to see that data too. I don't know. Who knows? Like,
it's an Area 51, man. You want to talk about some North Korea shit? That's some North Korea shit that we do. We put a plot of land in the middle of the country and said, if you even step foot on here, we're going to shoot you.
We have every right to kill you on sight for no questions asked.
Not arrest.
No questions asked.
Not take to court. None of that. Everybody's got his day thing.
You're done.
No, you step foot there, we have the right to shoot you. There are signs that say that at Area 51.
Yeah, no, they have the right to kill you on sight, no questions asked. No one will even be like, why? They were out here. Okay. Obviously, they're hiding something they don't want everybody to see, because why else would you be that intense to kill somebody, like, just right away? Dude, that's where they probably have Kim Jong-un, dude. He's actually just, it's propaganda.
Yeah, what if North Korea is set up by the Americans? What if it's an American state, and that's how they're treating people there, just to get the media to...
Yeah, they're trying to distract the masses, man. They're really just the Illuminati and the 1%ers. Watch, now we're going to just end up dead. This podcast is going to die.
We've said that before.
Yeah, it's true, we have. All right, we're still here. We don't have a big enough following. We're like, forget these guys.
Yeah, these guys.
Dude, wait a minute. No, like Taco
about.
Bell, I think, or somebody has a commercial that literally talks about like jokes that says like Illuminati.
What?
Yeah, what did they go? I can't remember the name of the commercial. I think it's Taco Bell. Where they go, Like, they start looking at the $1 bill. Like, they don't, like, really get it. They just make it a massive joke. Be like, oh, yeah, man, the Illuminati. Like, I can't remember the whole commercial, but they're playing off. So it's like, okay, if big corporations are, like, making jokes about it like
now
that.
you got
like,
me craving
honestly,
Taco Bell.
Dude, I'm starving.
That's the thing about America, too, is we got so many choices.
What, for, like, food? For everything.
For
like,
everything, but
yeah.
for food, everything. And that's something that I was talking to Ron. Shout out to Ron again. Yesterday is...
Should just had Ron on this podcast.
I know, right? It was almost the plan.
Yeah.
Are we too advanced for our own good? Like, the power of our brain is exponential.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? At 4%, you know so much more than you do at 3%. 5%, you know so much more than you do at 4%. And our brains are like at 10%. Most animals are not that big.
Right.
Anywhere from like 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Dolphins are actually more capable than us. But anyway, because of our emotional capacity and what we've built around us, like, is this all too much for us? Or at least how we are structured right now. Is this whole society way too much for us? Having these houses 10 feet away from each other in rows like that, having street lights that tell you when you can go and when you can stop, having all this food that gets sent all over the country and puts pollution in the air and is literally killing our planet. Like, yeah, obviously my life is way better than it would be 10,000 years ago. My life's way better than it would have been 50 years ago or 100 years ago. But are we as a species, as an illustration of the universe, are we too far?
Maybe. I don't think it can be really answered right now. I think that's something that time would tell.
You don't have a crystal ball? You're not God?
I don't.
You're not God?
You know, I've been called God before, but I'm not.
That's what we should start calling this.
The God? What our podcast?
Talk to God and Vinny. Because I'm God.
Talk to God and Vinny. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. We'll get right on that. See how many people start following us. Be like,
we'll lose followers.
They'll be like, yeah, all right. Fuck these guys. This guy literally calls himself God.
We'll wake up. We'll have 4 followers.
No, but yeah. I mean, I just think time will tell. I don't think us living will ever actually be able to know. But what we might be to that point, taking it a different way though, I think we might be advancing too far for our own good, in the sense that, like, look at what we're doing with, like, artificial intelligence, like, and how good we're going to be making that. Like, we're about to create something that, like, is already, like, the thing with, like, artificial intelligent, like, systems, like, in the like, the quote-unquote, like, robots are making with it, like, they understand, like, how to, like, learn and grow, like how a human would. Like, it learns and adapt, but the difference is they're going to be way more efficient than we are. They're going to be able to process things way quicker than we are. They're going to be because they're machines. Like, they won't have human error, like, built into them. They'll be able to avoid that. That's, to me, what might be scary. It's like, yeah, we have this capability, but do we really want to go down this road? Because what's this going to turn into? Like, what if, like, for example, and again, this is kind of quoting one of Rogan's, like, podcasts, but, like, what if you, like, one day, I broke my arm. Well, instead of keeping this arm, why don't I just give you a robotic arm that can't, like, it feels the exact same as your arm now, except it's totally healthy. You can make it as strong as you want. It can be a strong arm. You never have to lift. You never have to work out. And it'll never get hurt ever again. Like, who wouldn't take that? Be like, fuck it, chop my arm off. Give me a real one. Give me a better arm. Give me you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't the temptation just totally be there? It's never, like, it'll never change. So it's just like, you know what I mean? So because that's the path, like, we're kind of headed down with all this artificial intelligence. Like, you see it now with bionic limbs, but, like, it's only going to get better. We're only going to get better at this. Well, look at what we're doing with, like, stem cells to, like, regenerate growth and, like, regenerate cells.
I was just going to say.
Come on. Like, we're already starting to head down that road.
It's exponential.
Yeah.
Because what you learn,
only getting better.
What you learn one year is just precipitated so much on the past before.
Right.
And that precipitates on the future.
Yeah.
So it just builds and builds and builds. It goes from 4 to 16 to, you know what I mean? It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32.
Right. And it just multiplies that way. And that's where I think we might be running into trouble. I think we might try and outsmart ourselves, or think that what we're doing, it could backfire on us. It could be the end of humanity.
And is that our own fault?
Or the humanity in which we understand it today. We might evolve into something where we're more bionic than we are what makes us truly.
Well, that's
human.
the thing, is because you got to think, okay, what separates us? What's putting us in this place? It's simply our brain.
Yeah.
But what is our brain? We don't even have a conceptual, real understanding.
We didn't even really try and
is.
understand the brain until like recent history.
Like you can understand a tiger's claws. Okay, it
Yeah.
does it to dig, to slash, to fight, to climb. Right. What does our brain do? It's just this thing that gives us so much sensory.
So powerful too. Way more powerful than we truly realize. How if you can convince yourself of something, like what your body is really truly capable of doing, because your body responds to what the brain tells it to do.
I can think of how my decisions are going to affect me.
Right.
Like every time I let the dog outside and there's a frickin' squirrel out there, even if it's icy as heck on the deck, bolts out the door. And I'm like, dude, he's getting older. And that's how my aunt's dog died, actually, is he slipped off the deck and broke his neck and they had to put him down. Jesus. So I'm like, I get worried every time I let him out. I'm like, yo, this idiot's going to break his neck and we're going to have to put him down. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like after a while, humans will learn, all right, I'm going to take it slow off this deck. Yeah.
And dogs, like, even, other animals, they obviously learn, too, in a lot of ways. Like, hey, certain things I can't do. Like, that's what training is all about. Like, okay, dog pisses on the rug. You put its nose in it and be like, don't do it again. Eventually, the dog learns, okay, I can't do that. Like, or I'm going to get in trouble. Like, in those sense, sure, they learn a little bit, like, but with that said, no, they don't necessarily understand, like, why. They just know, oh, I can't do it.
That's what
he slips one time, he's not going to be like, oh, I can't do it. He'd be like, squirrel. Like, and that instinct kicks in again. Like, I got to go kill this thing. Like, you're right. With us, at least we can have the ability to evaluate options and decisions and potential outcomes. And if you act too quickly, those are, at least objectively, that's what we can do. There's also a lot of emotionally based decisions, which is probably the downfall of humanity. If we make too many emotionally based choices.
This is that combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of the logical and the reasoning.
And that's the other thing that our artificial intelligence doesn't have, man. It won't take emotion into account because it can't feel what we're feeling. Like it just won't have that built. You can't. How do you program emotion? You know what I mean?
You can't.
You truly can't program it. And even if you could, would you want that in your system? I wouldn't want it to be able to make emotionally based choices.
Are our emotions animalistic? Because a lot of animals have emotions. They want to survive, and I'm not even saying like happy, sad, but they want to survive. They want to live. There's that life force. There's that drive. Mm-hmm. Are our emotions animalistic with a human twist, or are we just different that they're human? You know what I mean? Because like obviously our mind is going to impact how we think and how we even think how we feel.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, like just I don't know, man. Like animals.
Come on, you still don't have that goddamn crystal ball?
Yeah, I want
answers here. I'm
gonna look into it.
Here at the spot. I want answers.
Like I said, I've been called God before, but it's very fake. That's fake news. Yeah, what were you gonna say? Yeah, don't say, you prick.
At least to calm myself. There we go.
He's trying to get me in trouble, guys. Yeah, hundreds of people ideally be watching this. This is what I'm gonna get. We'll be like, so what was Zach saying? I'm gonna get in trouble. No. But, I mean, I think it's going to be super interesting to see where this goes in the future. I really am.
Yeah.
And really what the future of Korea is going to look like. Because this could be a step in the right direction. I personally don't think as long as we have that kind of dictator there in North Korea that it's going to go that way. Because I don't believe his intentions are that pure. I think, like, he feels like he can benefit from this somehow politically or not even politically, because I guess he controls all the politics. I think maybe from a world politics standpoint, this might be a good move.
He might be starting to realize maybe,
hopefully,
that time's running out and he's going to end up like Saddam if he doesn't figure out a way to not be... He's trying to figure out a way to curve it so that he can, become closer with us,
some time,
but not make it seem like he's desperate about it, because then he loses all his power and not any sway that he has in a conference. Right. But I think he is trying. I think this is selfish, like you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's more for him than anything. Because, like I said, the people of South Korea, like this, citizens, they aren't for the most part happy about this. I don't think they're. I mean, I realize they have like some people, like families that were divided, like that are living in the north and in the south, like.
Yeah.
Like they're still dealing with that, like now, like. It's a brutal. I mean, you can't go back and forth between countries. You know what I mean? Like, if you escape North Korea and they catch you, you're done. Like, they're gonna kill you. Like, there's no doubt about it. Or you're gonna put in a fucking labor camp.
A lobotomy. Did you see that student, that American student that was over in North Korea, and
They
they just sent him back.
him?
Well, they don't know what they did to him, but he was like a perfectly functioning person.
Yeah.
Now he's just a bag. Well, he's like a person, but like, dude, he can't do anything. He can't talk. Like, literally, it's like they gave a lobotomy and just took his shit out, and he eventually died.
That's
and they said that he went into a coma for no reason.
Oh yeah, for no reason.
No reason.
Yeah, no reason. Yeah, people just fall into comas for no reason. That always happens. Yeah, okay. Because that's believable. But they're ridiculous. I mean, like I said, you'll get put in a labor camp and they'll just work your ass till you die. It's absolutely horrific what they'll do to people there. There is one case I've seen where somebody, like, it was the first like known case of somebody successfully escaping North Korea, like a labor camp in North Korea, and making it to the U.S. because they made it out of there. Because normally you go to China, but like if you're caught by the Chinese, like they'll send you back. Like if they catch you, like they're pretty good about like once they catch you, they send you back, and you get sent back. Man, it's a death sentence. You're screwed. Like they're gonna either just kill you or they're gonna work you to death. Like you're in trouble. But it was the first one and like it's impossible. It seems like to escape their labor camps. But this is the first person that they knew that was able to do it, and he escaped into China, was able to get through. Because, I mean, Chinese and Korean, those aren't the same languages. Like, so good luck communicating in Mandarin or wherever the hell, whatever part of China you're in when you only know Korean. And I highly doubt they're teaching you Chinese in their, schools or whatever, if we want to call them that, down there. So, you know what I mean? But he got out, and somehow, where did he make it to? The guy made it, I would like to see the video again, but he made it out of China even into a different country where he was able to successfully, like, make it to the U.S. and, like, got, like, political, like, asylum or whatever, like, to stay here, whatever it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he successfully made it to the U.S. and they interviewed him about it, and he went into depth about, like, how bad it was, like, in those camps and why he was even sent there to begin with. And I don't think it was